Hold on.
Getting going.
Just gotta check on Insta's
Damn it.
Facegram here.
Faceballs told me we're live.
The
Instagram's
YouTube trolls around the 4th this morning.
Oh, were they?
Yeah.
That's nice.
Oh.
You can say hello.
Well, they're banned now.
Oh yeah?
Blocked.
Nice. Button myself up here. I think we're good.
We ready?
I think so.
Can we check?
Uh,
check.
All of
my Instagram's struggling here.
my links.
Mm.
YouTube's or Facebook is up.
YouTube
Not showing your face.
What's up?
My face isn't on Instagram?
Your face is not on Instagram, but it might be.
Hmm. Let's hope it's on
There it
Facebook.
goes. All right. Instagram's a little delayed.
All right. Okay, welcome to the 034 Motorsport live chat. We are here to answer all your questions about all things 034 and anything automotive related that you like to talk about, and certainly, frankly, anything else too. Happy to talk about.
I don't really limited to anything.
No, although nobody ever asked us anything other than 034 and cars. So, we like to take a no BS approach. This is episode 131.
Yep. Something like that.
And put your questions into the browser of your choice that you're looking at right now. And we will do our best to answer your questions. We had a lot of questions last week.
Yeah, and there was already a bunch hit YouTube before we even started. So
Yeah. So are these all current questions in here?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a lot. And then the last 3 months are way down.
All right. Let's get started then. What plugs do you guys recommend for Stage 2 B9 3.0T? Currently, we just recommend factory plugs. As far as nothing's required. We do offer brisk plugs, which give you some options for playing with different heat ranges. We obviously recommend those, but we're not here to say, like, definitely go get those instead. If your factory plugs are running well for you, then feel free to continue to run those. When you need to replace, you can consider factory replacement or the brisk options that we offer. In general, the factory plugs are much more expensive and longer life options. The brisk plugs are, a lower length life, and they have a silver electrode as opposed to like iridium or something like that. So they just don't last as long, but if your car's running great, you don't have any misfires, don't worry about the plugs for the time.
that's kind of what we've been saying all along. It's like if plugs work, keep it. There's not a lot of magic that goes in there.
Yeah.
Can you address we'll get into the control arms in a little bit?
Yeah, we will talk about the RCO control arms. We released them last week, and there's been questions that have been piling up, so we'll probably tackle those at about 30, halfway through the hour, which is 11:30 here. Just a shout out to Eric and Kenji, really good guys who responded quickly and always want to help out. Awesome to hear.
Thank you.
Customer support is very important to us. It's obviously a key to our success. If we don't do that well, then we can't be successful. So we do our best. Everyone's expectations are a little different. USB Motorsport asks, "What's in the mug?" This is, I believe, what's the coffee we get?
Oh, that's a
Motorized coffee.
motorized coffee.
Motorized coffee with some oat milk and a squirt of hazelnut creamer.
I'm already on like my third cup of coffee, so this is just some plain old water.
Just water. Okay.
Brought the motorized home and I brewed it on my way in.
There we go.
Come in.
Usually I just have whiskey in here to deal with all the questions. Stage 3 TCU, any difference between 710 and 810 in the power curve? You guys rock. Thanks for making awesome tune for the B9 S4. You're welcome.
You're welcome. No, the actual shape of the curve is about the same. So there's not going to be really any huge benefit to going, and doing anything different on the TCU shift points.
Yeah, but both turbos benefit from the same shift point. Yeah. You could probably really get into it and maybe change it a tiny little bit.
it's going to be split pairs.
It's not worth it for us to offer additional files for that small of a difference. I have a high pressure fuel pump tool on order. Any idea when it's going to get back in stock? It's been almost a month. I'm sorry, we don't have that information here handy. So the best way to get help with that is to email contact@034motorsport.com, and the team there will be happy to respond with an ETA and shipment date on this. Just simply knowing our source and supplier, our manufacturer for those. It's a local California company, so they should be pretty quick. There was one. Do I need the tool to install the fuel pump for B9? Yes, you will need the tool to open up the fuel pump so you can get to the piston and remove the piston and replace it with ours. Just quick tip: when you do that, you get the tool. Follow our instructions closely. We've seen people have issues online using the tool, and we address all that in the instructions that are there. Okay. Someone's asking about Pier 750. We don't have a release date for that, but it is something we're working on. For the B9 platform, can you talk about why 91 gas has such a nice bump in power going over from 710 to 810, but the power on 93 is virtually identical between the two turbos?
Yeah, it comes down to just the efficiency of the turbo itself and how it reacts with the given octane. And we found that we were able to get some more headroom in there on 91. 91 is definitely more sensitive to back pressure, just cylinder pressures, air temperatures, you name it.
The exhaust manifold pressure is a big issue.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just a matter of the turbos and the efficiencies of differences between the two is where that comes from. 93, we weren't as limited on that, so yeah, it didn't change a bunch as you saw. So yeah, it's just a function of the turbos, and we wring out what we can from each combination.
Yeah.
What?
And not to say that the 710 is restrictive. It's much better flowing than the factory turbo.
Absolutely.
The 810 is was interesting. It was typically, as if you, for example, take if you go in the Garrett catalog or the Borg Warner catalog, and you go up in turbo size. So, you go from, the 300 horsepower turbo to the 350 to the 400, you see pretty consistent trends in how these turbos produce power. We did not see that going from 710 to 810. The 810 is a little bit of a freak. It makes more power and it kind of does everything really well. So,
yeah, we actually found it's spooled either the same or earlier than the 710s in the same situations.
Which you would never... If you had to guess, you would never guess. A turbo with a compressor that can flow 100 more horsepower would do that. But there's a lot going on with these factory hybrid turbos. TT is going in there and fitting bigger turbine wheels. They're putting different turbine wheels in. And as they cut and expand into the housing or open it up, the airflow characteristics can change pretty dramatically. Where... say a Garrett housing would, as you go from one turbine wheel to the next.
Yeah, and you could also look. I'd have to look and talk to TT about it. That you can change turbine or compressor. The compressor itself to a newer tech or better. Better aerodynamics, which would, I guess, you could equate to like a GT30 versus a GTX30.
Mm-hmm.
Where you would get kind of the similar, performance and spool bump.
They mentioned that the compressor is different on the 810.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's a different compressor. It's a different. So you can get more than just size, and you can get some different characteristics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A question about what we sponsor. I don't know what that is.
H1B is the appointment for.
That's what they're asking?
Intellectuals from out.
Okay. All right. I wasn't sure if that was a tuning thing.
No. Yeah, that's Visa stuff.
Someone's asking if we support H1B, H1N1 stuff like that. We can. It's just whether it makes sense. So if you're interested in doing something like that, feel free to go to our website. Go to careers at the bottom of our website. Click on that, and if there's any positions you'd like to apply for, feel free, and then we can always explore that. But for the right candidate, we would absolutely.
Yeah, we have before. It's not anything we're there's no reason not to if it's the right person for the job.
Exactly. Currently running stage 2 plus, waiting on 034 TT810 box codes to go to stage 3 plus, which is why I'm curious. When do you realistically think we will see B9.5 box codes for the TTE810 files?
I will say imminently, and there are some in the wild now. They are rolling out, very very soon.
Yeah, when it comes to box codes, we sort of take a squeaky wheel, gets the grease approach. The last thing we want to do is port a box code for nobody, So when someone's like, "Hey, I want this box code," then it's like, "Okay, do it for that guy." So, I'm not telling you to go buy a tune right this second, but if you certainly bought one, that would get you in a priority queue higher than you are now.
Yeah.
Or at least email us and let us know you want one and kind of, get the conversation going.
Yeah, no, we are actively working on it, and it's in calibration right now. They're finishing up calibration right now.
I need an honest answer here.
Oh boy.
Let me look into the camera. You will always get an honest answer from me every fucking time. All right. If I get a stage 1 flash, is the intercooler really needed? Will I still be able to enjoy the tune without the intercooler?
What car?
B9.
B9?
Yep.
It doesn't really matter. Like any of our stage 1 tunes, this is the honest answer. You can run with the factory intercooler. This is kind of like saying, I'm trying to think of an example. If you're Donald Trump, and he says, can I eat my steak without ketchup? Say absolutely. Your well done steak won't be as good without
That's
ketchup.
a terrible analogy.
But I don't know. It's option, right? But if you we talk about this quite a bit, so we've answered this honestly before. If you're gonna flash your car and you're gonna kind of squirt through one gear every once in a while, and accelerate in and out of traffic, or just kind of punch it down the street, you're gonna be fine with the stock intercooler, especially in cooler weather. If you would like to rip through the gears and really get on it, go for a canyon drive, go to the track. If you want to rip through 6 gears, getting onto the freeway, and it's the summer and you live in Arizona, then you're really going to be limited by the factory intercooler, and you will feel the power drop off as you stay in gear and as you put more and more heat into the stock intercooler. Because what's going to happen is the stock intercooler is going to heat soak, which means that it will absorb so much heat that it cannot get rid of it, and the temperatures just keep going up to some too hot place where the factory ECU will then start pulling boost and power back.
We start derating your power at a given point, and I mean, Jawad's exactly right. You'll get most of the power there, regardless whether you got the stock intercooler or a modified one. But it's those continued long duration use cases, or if it's a very hot environment, you're going to get derated really quickly.
So here's a good example that I've thought of now since the Trump steak. This would be like asking, "Hey, I would like to be able to run. Do I need to work out consistently?" And the answer would be, if you just need to sprint across the parking lot once a week, no, you don't need to work out. You can run pretty fast, out of shape, for a quick, burst across the parking lot, you'll be fine. If you want to go on a 3-mile run, you're going to have to work out. If you want to go on a 50-mile bike ride, you're not going to be able to get away with a quick burst of power here and there. You're going to have to be in shape. And so upgrading your factory intercooler is essentially like working out and getting in shape. It gives your engine the ability to produce consistent, long-term power and deal with that heat. Put that heat somewhere. So it's really up to you. If you're concerned about spending the money or the modification, absolutely do stage one. There's no reason not to. And then see what you think. And if you in the way that you're driving the car in a way that you would enjoy it, start feeling the power derate, and you will feel it. You'll just feel like this surge of power, and then all of a sudden it'll kind of be gone, And even the factory cars will do this.
Oh god, yeah.
The derate is there for the factory power level.
No, even stock, if you go out on track, like a road course setup, you're going to start hitting thermal thresholds.
The reason I'm spending some extra time on this is stage one applies to everybody else. Everyone does stage one at some point. But even a factory car can benefit from an upgraded intercooler. Absolutely. So
I mean, we're seeing these stock Mark 8s and stock B9s. The heat soak is happening halfway through it. A cool mile pass.
yeah. Well, and a quarter mile pass is a good example. You're under boost gear after gear from first gear to second gear to third gear. All of a sudden you've put a lot of heat into the system. Drag racing is problematic too because you start from a stop. So basically, the point that you get to the 8th mile, there's been almost no air going across the intercooler. Then from the 8th mile to the quarter mile, that changes dramatically. When will the extended tie rods come if I want to run your lower control arms and RCO ball joints? We are working on those. We don't have a date yet, but we're rushing those to market as quickly as we can as a high priority item internally. Yeah. Oh, that is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's keep
Okay.
that
So
set.
it's really confusing. Maybe put a line there or something.
Yeah, I just space it out.
Okay. What car would either of you get, but you couldn't modify it for performance or aesthetics, just as is, old or new, no price limit?
Just off the.
What about no
stock?
restrictions for like kids or number of people that that kind of ruins it for me. That's why I drive a
I know.
Q7.
Yeah, you have to take in so many things.
Mm-hmm.
God, I don't think I've thought about that for bone stock car. It would probably be want to be something that I don't want to modify. So it would probably be the family vehicle.
Well, you can't.
That's what I'm saying. Like if I can't modify it, then it's gonna.
But I don't think it's
the
the only car you can have. This is just
Right.
like,
No, and that's the thing is like the one I don't want to touch. Yeah, we'll just leave that as a family vehicle and be its thing. Literally everything else I generally want to be able to play with.
For me, it would be. This is kind of a practical answer, but it also not super practical. Is a Gen 2, basically a brand new R8 V10.
Sure.
Current model. The R8 to me is kind of the ultimate daily driver street car. I have other dream cars like a 959 or a Sport Quattro or things like that, but I wouldn't want to drive those.
Yeah.
The tech packages in these new cars is amazing. It makes life easier. The cars are very quiet and smooth. There's no creaks or rattles when they're new.
Yeah, your list of compromises drops.
Yeah.
So much more for you.
That's a 200 and some, I don't know, depending on how you spec it out. But it's about a $200,000 car. But as far as daily driver, it's good mileage, fast, fun to drive, amazing handling. That's probably what I would get. Super reliable. Can't download the portal on Apple Mac. Is it only compatible on Windows?
Yeah.
Yes.
We list that in all the product specs. All of the flashing
Currently
tools
Windows.
currently are Windows only. That said, we are working on a Mac.
We are working.
portal as well.
Yep.
I have. Yes. And
We have Macs here now.
yes.
What's the next step for more power with the B9 3.0T beyond the 810? This is no secret. It's the motors are going to need rods at minimum, and then there are bigger turbo options coming.
Yeah, I think rods and probably valve springs and
Yeah.
some minor top end works.
Valve springs. So these motors are extremely potent. They're very capable. They are getting to a point where the factory rods are going to be the limit. And then once you fix one limit, there's always the next limit, right? It's
not
there's no free, So at some point, who knows? Axles, transmissions, diffs, there's all kinds of stuff that starts coming into play. But I think it's safe to say, I think 1,000 horsepower for these cars is in not too far off future. It's an extremely potent, exciting platform. To me, it's much more exciting than the Daza. This is a really amazing, German sedan that can handle very well. That isn't as small as like the RS3 or the TTRS. Don't get me wrong; those are great cars. Mm-hmm. But the extra cylinder and the capability of this motor is very exciting. I bought everything for my 710 setup. Then, like 2 weeks later, you guys released all the 810 stuff. Am I going to feel like a kid who asked for the new Xbox and got a 360 at Christmas? I don't think so. The 710, if you drove a 710 and an 810, I don't think you'd be bowled over by the difference. They're both very fast, really ridiculously fast cars. If you really spend a lot of time looking at the dyno sheets and stuff like that, you could probably make yourself feel however you'd like. But you can't go wrong putting in the 710 setup and driving that car and enjoying it.
And you can also, send the turbo out, get it updated to the 810 spec, and put some injectors in, and you're up to
you can. File. It's going to cost you more money, and so if you're okay doing that, it's a good option if you'd like to consider it. But also installing the 710 and enjoying it is also a great option.
Yep.
But I think how you feel is going to be up to you. Feelings are made up; they're in our heads. You can feel however you want. I know a lot of people who are like super happy and proud, living really shitty, terrible lives. Somehow they've convinced themselves. So.
Yeah, it's all a matter of perspective. But yeah, 710 is an amazing setup.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys plan on working with Merc Racing with their new blower for the CREC 3.0T?
I would check your stuff. I don't think he's working on anything for the CREC right now. Everything that I've seen is the earlier motors,
yeah,
the B8, B8.5, S4, S5 stuff. And yes, if I was talking with him this morning on some of the stuff around tonight. But if we can get a turbo here, or supercharger here, it is something we can certainly work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we are open to working with Merc Racing on that upgraded supercharger.
But yeah, nothing. We have no hardware here yet.
What do you guys have to say about the factory diverter solenoid on B9s? On stage 3, would you say the upgraded forged recirc valve is highly necessary?
We have never run one and have never found a need to run one.
It's not necessary in any way. I wouldn't recommend messing with the factory recirculation valve.
Yeah,
I don't think there's anything to gain.
Unless there's a reason, but we're holding more boost than we need. Yeah. We're releasing as much boost as we need. So no, there's no control or capability limitation that we would necessitate another valve.
On first gen FSI cars like the Mark V, those had the same basic bypass valve as these cars, except there was a kind of a rubberized diaphragm that would seal. That would tear and rip. So a number of companies came out with something that was good, which was kind of this aluminum washer that would kind of go over, and it would alleviate the stress on the rubber diaphragm. The diaphragm would still seal, but this aluminum plate would act as a reinforcement for the diaphragm. That actually solved the problem, and I think that was good. Mm-hmm. Volkswagen Audi realized the problem in their design, and they went to a plastic piston design, which has been flawless, and no one's ever needed to do anything since. But you still have lots of companies trying to come out with products, and won't mention any names, but you just don't need to do that. If you want to, you can. I would say you're probably only going to cause more issues. And then if you'd like to hear the blow-off hissing sound, that's some kind of utility you could get from that, I suppose. But again, not there's no purpose for that in the tuning or calibration of the engine. In fact, you're just causing issues for the ECU because you're letting air out of the system. somewhat being tracked. So these don't have MAFs, but
Just a heads up, we've got a page and a half of questions.
I know the questions are hot.
We're
and
trying to
heavy,
get
so
through.
we're getting through as many as we can.
New B9 S4 owner here. Best performance mods without jeopardizing reliability. All of our modifications for the B9 S4 have proven to be reliable and are reliable. So it's hard to say. It's not like you would do any certain modification that we offer that won't be reliable. They're all reliable. If you're concerned, I would say, start with stage 1 ECU flash. All of our springs and sway bar, these are all very reliable modifications. If you're concerned about reliability, the stress levels do build as you get into the 810 range. Again, it's still not unreliable. We don't have any reported failures, but you do start getting into more issues like you're straining your ignition system, your fuel system. You could get into situations with misfires. You may require more tech support and maintenance. You'll be changing your plugs more often. You may need to be messing with blended fuels and stuff like that. So, start with stage 1 and go from there. But it's all reliable. I'm sorry if that. Don't take that answer as a cop out. I'm literally speaking factually. There is no reliability issues with any of it.
Yeah, it's just we've talked about this a bunch. It's the more and more and more power you make, that just is going to be more stress. So I mean, but stage 1, we've never had issues. We haven't had issues with anything, but.
For the question about the handling package, we really need to know what's being discussed.
For the Mark 8?
I don't know. It says, why isn't there a front sway bar for the handling package?
Oh, that's
For the S4,
the B8.
the B8 one?
The B8 handling package came out before we had the front sway
Okay.
bar out, so there's a discussion that has to happen.
Gotcha.
We watch edits that.
Yeah. Okay. Someone's asking why we don't have the front sway bar in the handling package. It's because we just released the sway bar, and the B8 handling package was put together before. So I think we will certainly add that as an option. We just have to do that. Whenever you release the Dynamic Plus Stage 1 ECU and TCU for EA888 Gen4 vehicles with Continental Turbo, Mk8 R, YS3, is it going to initially cover both Simos 19.6 and 19.3 protocols, or is it only going to be for 19.6?
Right now, it's going to be only for 19.6, simply because that's the mass breadth of, that covers almost all of the applications that are going to be tuned. So the 19.3 stuff we are talking about covering, there's no reason we can't. It's just a matter of, some resources.
Yeah.
The calibrations, we've already got, I know Racing Line's been working on calibrations for those. There's, no technical reason we can't do them, but initially it will certainly be 19.6.
B9 RS5 guys feel sad and forgotten. Will we join the stage 3 fun?
You checked some of our videos, but it's coming very
Soon. Yeah, no, you have. Well, I'm sorry you feel sad and forgotten. Like I just said, feelings are made up in our minds. They don't exist. It's funny. There's a the Nature is Metal.
Oh god, those are great
so
Reddit
good,
subreddits
right?
and things.
But there's like a lion that like climbs in a male lion that climbs into a tree and steals some prey, a kill from a like a cheetah or a jaguar or something that's in a tree. And the lion kind of just, when it gets it, it just kind of falls clumsily out of the tree. And the guy that commentates on the channel is really good. He says that, lions don't feel embarrassment. They're just driven by food. So, feelings are a uniquely human experience. The reality is we are working on it. You haven't been forgotten, and you shouldn't feel sad, even though you do. We will be releasing our Stage 3 tune very soon. And when we do, you will feel
Much less
the feeling of your face being smashed into your seat. So just hang in there. Someone's asking, are there TT820s for the RS5 or in the distant future? Not yet. That is something that we are currently working on the next options for the RS5. So again, you have not been forgotten. But nothing specific to discuss. In the not too far off future, RS5s will be making 1,200 horsepower daily driver, but it's going to be with turbos that don't currently exist. and other modifications. So again, another reason not to feel sad or forgotten. All right, we're about halfway. On S4 B5, on S4 B8.5, can a stage 2 tune deactivate the secondary air system? We do not currently do that.
Wait, hold on. Bring that back up.
Stage 2,
Stage 2 secondary air deactivation.
not stage.
B8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, no, it's not deactivated at all on any of the normal files. If you're running a test pipe file, that is reduced because with the catalyst heating is a function that's not really used.
But we still don't eliminate.
But no, the components will still need to be there.
2023 S5 Sportback. If I can only do one, are you guys putting the new questions at the top?
No, something.
It just seems like we're never getting to the old ones because all the new ones are only the ones we're answering. 2023. I mean, I just see new questions.
Yeah.
I'm never getting down.
Some pop in that are more or less.
Okay.
Just
Just put them. Let's try to go. Unless they're bad questions. So 2023 S5 Sportback. If I can only do one or the other first, would you go lowering springs or rear sway bar and end links? Both are going to have a really good effect on handling. Neither are too expensive.
They're actually a lot cheaper if you do them together because labor-wise, you're basically already in.
Yeah, I think that should be the case. I would say I'd probably do springs first, just because it lowers the car, which visually is really nice, and it does. The springs do reduce body roll, and they do improve the handling and responsiveness of the steering quite a bit. If you don't care about the visual improvement at all, then do the rear sway bar. So I'd kind of look at it that way.
Yep.
I'm gonna go down the list here a little ways. Let's see. With coils for the B9, can we get better instructions as to how heat spacers are supposed to come with it? And yes, I saw a question about this. How many spacers are supposed to come with it? The kit comes with 3 spacers, and for some reason we didn't photograph the spacers when we added that product to the website. So I have initiated a process to photograph the spacers as well, so you will see, anyone who's concerned can see that there's 3 spacers in the kit. There'll be a picture of it.
The install instruction just has to be updated for that specific.
Yeah. Have we done anything about that? Can we escalate that? RS5 customer, I have front rear 034 rotors for my RS5 on order. I am pairing them with the Hawk ceramic pads. I also got your upgraded brake lines. I'm just waiting for them right. Awesome. You're going to love it.
Mm-hmm.
Those are good. Those are good all around streetable pads. So yeah, no, you're great braking setup on that car. Are you planning to offer lowering options for the SQ5s without factory air suspension? This is for B9s.
Yes.
We are working on a B9 lowering spring,
Static drop.
but I think we don't have a car here, so we need. I don't know where that's at. I think we'd actually like someone to work with, especially local. Okay, I know it's something we're working on, so I don't know where it's at as far as the process. Speaking of intercoolers, how's development going on the intercooler you guys are working on? Very good. We have been through several iterations to kind of really create an optimal design that meets or exceeds anything else that's on the market currently, and we have finally gotten there. It will be a tube and fin intercooler, so it'll be lightweight and very efficient, perfect for cars that drive and move on the road and get good airflow. And then I think it's probably like 2 or 3 months out. We're really late to the party on this one, but it'll be a nice intercooler. It will, and then this now, the kind of research and engineering and design we've done around this intercooler really parlays well into lots of other intercoolers that we are working on. Getting a really good intercooler core and nailing down something that flows but has good efficiency. So intercoolers are about more than just you have multiple variables that you're trying to balance and optimize. You can have one design that flows great but doesn't shed very much heat from the intake charge, or you can have a design that's very efficient. It pulls a lot of heat out, but it slows the air down too much and creates a restriction. So you're really looking at optimizing those two variables, and we found. Will you please add a warning on the website about your tunes bringing more hot moms around? I'm a bit overwhelmed right now, especially at soccer practice.
That is a side benefit we offer for free.
Yeah, I think this is the kind of thing we want our customers to just be overwhelmed.
Yeah,
with.
it's a life experience. You're just gonna have to kind of ride.
And the hot moms like good performance. I'll just leave it at that. And enjoy that. You're welcome. Would you recommend to switch to 30 weight oil on the B9 to increase film strength and decrease oil temps?
We do run a little heavier oil than what is it, 020 or something they spec, I think.
Yeah, 0W20.
Yeah, I mean, on our bigger turbo cars, we did typically run I believe there's a 30 weight oil.
So this guy specifically asked again because he's concerned about his rocker. He's asking about increasing.
I've never seen oil related to rocker.
I don't think that's gonna.
At all. Those are like a roller bearing. They're not really the power you're making they're virtually no effect on the rocker arm loads. Oil film and thickness and all that is going to be much more critical at rods and rod main bearing things.
Yeah. Now, first off, this rocker arm issue is severely overblown for some reason. And like Nate said, that your oil's not really related to that. So I would stick with either factory oil or go to 0W20, which is a factory option. But I think you're trying to solve a problem.
Have we even heard of many other issues recently?
It's claiming they've got like 21 confirmed cases of rocker arm failure on early B9s.
Like, do they have VIN numbers or?
Yeah, it's the thing is like I keep hearing all these things, but
big thing.
okay.
And we've talked. I talked to one of the biggest Audi dealerships in the country in the last 3 months, and they've said they've seen like 3 cases ever. So it's and they work on hundreds or maybe thousands of Audis. So. Yeah. Let's talk RCO control arms. So these are our RCO lower control arms that we released, fully forged MQB lower control arm with revised geometry, so increased camber, more caster, and then revised density bushings, so much stiffer, less sloppy bushings on the inner control arm. A bunch of questions that have come out in the last week that we'll have to tackle. So his first question is, what makes your control arms the best on the market? So we use high quality rubber bushings, which is what the factory uses. We talk about this all the time. I don't think even Koenigsegg's or anything on the market, everything uses rubber bushings. You just don't see poly bushings from the factory. Maybe someone will find 1 or 2 isolated, cases where some car came with poly. I don't know. It's just a bad material to use in automotive environments, and rubber works under tension and compression, and it's going to give you all the performance of a poly bushing with a much longer life, and it's actually going to perform better than a poly bushing.
Poly's not like some magical compound that just makes everything better. It's literally just changing the density of the interface between the 2 parts.
Polyurethane you can melt on your stove at very low temperatures. So imagine, underneath your car is not a cool environment. So you have even your control arms and your suspension components are getting hit with a lot of heat. So polyurethane might do okay at, say, like 75 degrees, but you consistently sustain it to an environment that's 100 to 150 degrees, it just starts breaking down and melting slowly. So, Someone asked, when is it appropriate to use a poly suspension bushing versus a rubber bushing? Honestly, I can't think of an example.
No.
The reason why poly gets used is, again, it's easy to manufacture. So
It's super easy to make. You can literally 3D print a mold and mix up some essentially a polyurethane resin.
anyone at home could make a clay mold, get some clay,
Yeah.
form it, or you can go to Tap Plastics and get some of that silicone mold making gel, make your own mold, and you can just go on your stove and 200 degrees, you can melt poly and you can pour it in the mold. So, that's why the aftermarket makes things out of poly, because it's easy to make it out of. But it's not a good material for automotive parts. And again, show me one Volkswagen or Audi part that's made out of polyurethane.
In a mechanical use case.
Yeah, I mean, let's put it this way. Show me 100 poly parts, because Audi produces, what, billions of different automotive parts? Hundreds of millions. So show me 100 poly parts. And then, we could talk. Even on, you go to the racetrack, go to Grand Am, go to, I don't know, F1 cars are running polyurethane, controller bushing. Are these arms compatible on the TTRS? Yes, when you swap to factory RS3 ball joints or the 034 RCO ball joints, which you should do. The problem is the TTRS factory ball joint is not compatible with this arm, which is fine. You just get our RCO ball joint and the arm at the same time. Will the camber adjustment stay true over time, or can it shift? No, it stays true. It cannot shift. The camber from the control arm is precisely controlled by where the ball joint is bolted down. Once the ball joint is clamped into the control arm, it cannot move unless it's installed incorrectly.
Yeah. And there's no difference here to some of the factory provisions, like on the TT, you have a slotted interface.
Yeah.
Whereas on the MQB, it's not adjustable. So it's not like we've invented or added some new non-OE design specification. We simply spec this with a slotted adjustment. The interface is the same as many stock cars.
Yeah.
So there's no inherent reason why this would be anything less stable.
Someone asks, going back to what makes our arms better. Forged aluminum. I'm not sure if some of the options out there are cast. We don't know, but ours are forged like a factory arm would be.
Some are stamped steel.
No, some are stamped steel. Right. Adjustable camber adjustment from stock to additional to additional 1 degree, right? And then adds 0.5 degrees of caster, which is not adjustable. You just get it for free. And then we have the best price on the market for these. This is a top quality premium product. We don't know why everyone else charges so much money for theirs. We have a good profit margin on these, but we are the lowest price on the market, the best value on the market. How much camber is too much? I see some setups advertising over -4 degrees cambers. It depends. So on the street, I would say generally you don't really want to run more than 2.5 or 3 degrees.
I'd say 2 to 3 is
Yeah.
kind of the most I'd say for a primarily street setup.
Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. Your car will handle really well with 4 degrees of camber on the street, but you're going to go through tires, because on the street you just sit and go straight for long periods of time. So what's going to happen is you're going to wear out, the inside edge of your tire. On a racetrack, we have set up cars with up to 7 degrees of camber, and this can actually help tires last much longer on track because you're turning almost the entire time.
Most of your load on the tires is in a corner.
Yeah.
Or
So when you have camber and you're on a racetrack, when you load up, that outside tire actually will sit flat. When you have the right amount of camber, you maximize the contact patch area. So the kind of the condition that would wear the tire the most, you have the tire sitting flattest. Now, without any camber, your tire is going to be riding on the outside edge, and you're just going to wear the outside edge off. And you see this at the racetrack.
Take any stock Volkswagen or Audi to the track, and hoon it around for a bit, and you're going to have like the outer inch of tire is going to be just destroyed compared to the rest of it.
So I would say on the street 2 to 3. On a track you could dial in up to 6 or 7. I think the average track day car like 3 to 4.
It's going to depend on your tires and setup. I mean, tires have a huge effect on how much camber they want run to.
The right way to set up camber on the racetrack is to do tire temps, and then you can see where your various tires are touching.
Tire temperatures.
Yeah, tire temps. So you measure the inside, the middle, and the outside edge of your tires, like literally as you come off track.
You generally want to have someone there helping you with this because it's you want to come off as at temperature as you can. Take measurements across the tire.
And then you're going to be balancing all different kinds of variables, from tire pressure to camber. And then there's going to be, sway bar settings involved and driver preferences. But, what we've seen on the street, put like 2 to 2.5 degrees, you will have good tire life and the car will just be transformed in the way it handles. You have so many suspension modification options available now. What setup do you recommend for these various use cases? Yeah, so there's a saying: the death of decision is too many options. So we do want to offer the most options on the market for anyone looking to set up their MQB. However, we realize the confusion, so we're trying to make the decision matrix as easy as possible for you guys. So we just kind of put up some generic stuff. Feel free to contact us if you want to talk more. So if you have no mods done in your car yet, we would recommend lower control arms first, with everything else stock. That's going to give you an additional degree of camber, some more caster, and then add lowering springs and the rear sway bar. That would be a good first step. Daily driver weekend car hitting the occasional back roads. Definitely lowering springs, rear sway bar, and the control arms. Daily driver and occasional track day autocross days. The camster mounts or RCO ball joints. If you need more tire room, go camster. RCO ball joint require extending tie rods, which we will come out with. So one of the issues is if you give yourself camber through our strut tops, you'll actually gain tire clearance because you'll be moving the tops of the tires. But if you do camber with the control arm, you're moving the bottom of the tire out, so you're actually decreasing. You're giving yourself a wider front track. But with all the options we have, you can get as much camber from the top or the bottom as you like, to maximize that. But if your goal is to get the most tire under the fender possible, you're probably going to want to use our strut mounts to get that extra camber in there. Our camster mount will give camber and caster, which is a really nice option. And then for track guys, you can pretty much use everything, and it will give you a lot of adjustability. You can get up to 4 or 5 degrees of camber. You'll maximize the amount of caster you can get. But the nice thing about our setups is there's not a lot of adjustability, so you can kind of mix and match different components and lock in different settings. So once you install them, you're just gonna have to redo your alignment each time.
Yeah, well, this is the most adjustment we've got on it.
Well, yeah, you can adjust the slotted lower control arm.
But yeah, the camster, all the upper mounts are
Yeah.
fixed, kind of given quantity.
Well, you guys have handling packages for this platform. Definitely something we're considering. We're looking into.
Yeah, and this is where it comes down to what what we're just going over is the number of options you can put together is kind of astonishing.
Would you prioritize optimizing roll center over everything else if my car is lowered? Not necessarily. I mean, I'll just answer your question generically. You never want to prioritize one factor over everything else. That's a recipe for disaster. You always want to balance and take all the factors into account and create the most optimal result by balancing all the variables. This usually means making compromises to every variable to get the best outcome. I think roll center is one of the things you should consider. Moving forward, we will allow you to adjust, to compensate for bump steer, having optimal camber, adding some caster. These are all things that add, to the outcome. And even though you kind of mess up the roll center a little, having a lower center of gravity in general is a very good thing. So it's why so many so many, one of the tuning staples is lower your car. You make the roll center worse, but the lower center of gravity ultimately has a better effect on handling. But if you can lower the center of gravity and compensate for your roll center, really, really good outcome. So, we need to know. Currently, these do not fit the Mark 8, but they will soon. There's a couple little changes we have to make for the Mark 8 control arms. So if you have a Mark 8, hang tight or shoot us an email. Thankfully, it's not a major redesign of the arm, so we should be able to have something soon. If you're Mark 8 and you're interested, just shoot us an email. We'll tell you what options you have currently and moving forward.
Should have that solved later.
Yeah, hopefully in a week or so. Will any of your suspension modifications void my warranty? I'm scared since the Mark 8 is such a new car. Anything can void your warranty. What mood your service advisor is at the dealership probably has as much to do with your warranty being voided than anything. Technically speaking, and a dealership or a manufacturer cannot void your warranty if they cannot prove that the modification caused the failure. This won't stop your cranky service advisor, if you have one, from voiding your warranty. There's a lot of really cool service advisors out there too who work with customers who know that these modifications don't affect the reliability of the car. But I can't emphasize enough. Spilling a drink in your car could void your warranty. So there's a lot of factors, but no. Let's put it this way: if you put one of our parts on your car, and the part fails, and you go to the dealership, they're not going to warranty it. If one of our parts causes some other part of your car to fail, they're also not going to warranty, and they're probably going to void your warranty. I'm not aware of really that ever happening. Like I said, our parts are reliable. If you have a problem with any of our parts, you contact us. We'll help you get it figured out. You wouldn't go to Audi or Volkswagen to warranty a 034 parts, just like we wouldn't ask you to go to Audi to warranty any parts. So generally speaking, no, it shouldn't.
You finished with the track guide? Last piece of the.
I think so. We would basically just throw it all out.
Yeah, just do it all. But I mean, if you're really a serious track driver, hopefully you have you're gonna have a pretty specific outlook on what you're looking to do.
Yeah, and you might want to, not to just try to push more product, but you may want to try also just the camber mounts or the cam mounts and kind of experiment with the setup and how your driving style and your vehicle setup works best with the tires, the tracks you're on.
Yeah,
kind of
the
thing.
biggest
So,
thing is just reach out to us.
yeah, we're always here if you've got questions for any of the setups.
This live stream hour is always the fastest hour of my week.
Oh, great.
Mine too, buddy.
Yeah, this year goes by.
It's like every time I look at my watch, 15 minutes.
You guys struggle, but you're not gonna be able to see it. That's a whole page of questions we're still trying to get to, but it's.
When's the next software sale? We don't have a lot of sales. We pretty much have a Black Friday sale every year. I don't think. Did we? Oh, we did.
I think we did.
Did we? Oh.
It depends on
We usually do sales around our winter and summer fest and Black Friday.
Yeah, we do specials, and I guess it'd be a sale around those events. So,
but you never know. We might just decide not to do it. So there's no guarantees. Comparing 3.0 supercharger versus 3.0 turbo only pistons, which would be better? I don't believe I can answer that question.
Turbo only piston naked engine.
I think
should be better.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, pistons these days are way more complicated than they used to be. The piston, the piston is a very critical part of the actual combustion strategies and events now. It's not just a compression ratio and some valve clearances.
Yeah.
The specific dome shape and profile is not just like power adder specific, be it supercharger or turbo. It's down to the injectors, the injection strategies, the tumble flaps. So there's a lot more going on in there than just a compression ratio selection.
Yeah.
So that's a really tough question to answer.
Let's keep moving. Yeah. I would just say use whatever pistons are for the motor that you're building. And factory pistons are very good these days. You really don't have to worry about that. So I would upgrade the rods if anything.
Yeah.
I read that IE has come out with tuning software for Audi 2023 models. Any time frame from 0 through 4. We've heard them say that. We haven't seen or heard of anyone who's actually flashed with it. So I don't know what's going on. As far as where nobody can do it right now.
This is specifically with the
2023.
late 2022 and 2022 mid-year 2022 and newer TCU.
Yeah.
So yeah, they announced that, but again, we haven't seen that anyone's actually flashed it. If you have,
We'd love to hear about it. We question whether they really can. So
yeah,
we don't currently have a ETA for that.
Yes.
It's something we're working.
we're working on it. We don't have that released yet.
Yeah. AYS3 ECU tune Mk8 R tune. I saw Humble Mechanic download his with your software. Yes,
He did.
he got a early adopter type file. We are hoping to release it soon.
Yep.
So again, don't have a date, but
We like to do.
it's coming.
We've got testing. We're taking it to the track. We've got just our normal suite of development process items.
If you're in the market, please wait for us to release ours. You'll be very happy with
I
that.
believe he's dropping video on that looked on Sunday. So
Okay. And Humble Mechanic should be releasing a video soon, according to what he told us.
Yep. As far as I know, he's loving it right now. The last feedback I heard.
You really think the RS5 has 1,200 horsepower in this motor design? Yeah, definitely.
I mean, we're not saying like you were going to run 1,200 horsepower with the motor as it sits in your car now.
No.
It needs to be built.
I
It
did
needs to be
say
set up for it. But what we're getting at is the potential is huge with these. With some very, I guess, standard mods for that kind of power level. You got to get the fuel in. You've got to have some basic components that can deal with it. But yeah, it's a very potent motor.
It is. I mean, the heads flow a lot. As long as the bottom end holds up. And then getting fuel to it. I mean, there's going to be a lot of modifications for that level of power, but it can be very reliable. And
And I think everybody just kind of needs to have that perspective, and that we're talking about horsepower numbers right now on these cars that unheard of just a few years ago. Like, this is stuff that's just you would never be able to build a motor that could deal with like a TT810 right now. Like that performance metric is just didn't exist, and then all of a sudden people expect it to be almost double that again.
What's all right. Let's see. A couple more.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. We got a lot of questions here.
034 HJ TTRS tune question. I recently heard that we can flash HJ from home. Are there any plans to add launch control? Yes, you can flash from home.
You can flash from home. I don't know how much
you'll be doing.
Yeah,
we won't be doing much more with that tune. That's a very small market at this point.
Right.
Our tune is still the best out there, so definitely enjoy that.
Yep.
But we probably won't be putting any more engineering developments, like that level of engineering developments. But it's possible, but I doubt it. Second time today, I've been laughing my face off. These live sessions are great, dry and to the point, and then hot mom jokes for the win. Well, thank you.
Dry humor is definitely something.
You are kindred spirit here. No one's sued me yet, so that's good.
Whoa.
put that out.
I don't know.
No, it's always an option. Any reason why I wouldn't want to take my 2019 S5 right to stage 2 or 3? It has 70,000 miles and well maintained. There's no reason other than the fact that the upward journey in stages is a fun one. So you could do stage 1.
Yeah.
You can do stage 2. Then you can go.
We don't have stage 2 because
Anyway.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
That's fun.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I read RS5. My head
Who's
went
that?
straight to RS5.
But regardless, my point is, whatever platform, go through the stages. We don't charge you any more money for doing it, so you can upgrade safely or relatively cheaply. If you just go blow your wad on the first stage, you kind of give up a lot of the satisfaction of getting to the wad explosion blowage that's waiting for you at stage 3. So.
Yeah, and it also gives you a little more time to familiarize yourself with your car. If you just got it, the more power, the more components get stressed. You find, what it's not necessarily a maintenance thing. It could just be an age and a mileage accumulation thing.
Yeah.
Maybe your injectors have had not the greatest fuel run through them, and are a little gummed up. You find that out on stage 1. It's going to be a lot easier to troubleshoot.
But if you want
a bunch of other things,
if you want to go straight to the max and then do it. There's no reason not
There's
to.
no reason not to, but
Other than, like I'm just saying, the amount of enjoyment that you get, the area under the curve of enjoyment is much higher if you do it in stages, because you get the initial excitement of doing it, and then the next one, and the next. So you just have more quantity of enjoyment. But
And if you've never had a 600 horsepower car, you can be scared by that going for free.
that's true. It doesn't
There's
hurt
that.
to kind of build up to it.
familiarize yourself as to how the car handles with
That would-
the increased powers. Because yeah, we've had guys that have gone from stockish cars to like, oh, I want an 810 on ethanol, D60, and then yeah, they just don't know what to do.
This one shakes old man fists. Back in my day, a 300 horsepower 180 was a beast. These horsepower numbers these days are bonkers.
Yep,
100%. I mean,
totally get it.
that's I was tuning cars back when 200 horsepower from 160 was mental. I remember reading a European car article where MTM took like a C4 S4. This would have been like 96 from 220 horsepower to like 310.
Yeah.
And the author of the article was just gushing about like, you look at a point and you hit the throttle and you're there, and it's like that's 300 horsepower.
In a big old F sedan,
Now you're talking about cars with 2.5 times, almost 2.5 times that power. So
and like your average GTI is putting that out now
Yeah.
just with a flash. Like it's just absurd.
that C4S4 is considered slow by today's standards. Okay, well I think we're well out of
Oh my
time.
god,
Yes.
Thank you everyone. Sorry again.
we get so many questions here. Yeah,
We either have to.
I'm
I don't know what we're gonna do.
2-hour day.
no,
I mean, I'd be
No,
fine
I got
going
stuff to
longer,
do.
but I could go all.
no, we appreciate it too. Thank you guys for asking the questions. We're trying to get through them.
No, thanks for your involvement.
If it's technical and if you actually need support, always hit us up. We've got
Yeah.
tech support here. We'll get back to you as quick as we can. So thanks, guys.
Cheers.